one.
Hello and welcome to Right for America, issues that unite and don't ignite. I am your host, Cindy Gross. Many of you know me as the Jewess Patriot, but you don't have to be Jewish to be a part of our show, as today's show will actually emphasize. And I want to thank you for tuning in live at the America First Warehouse. And don't forget, the shows are Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. on WGBB Radio, 1240 a.m. and 95.9 FM in the tri-state area. And they're streaming internationally anytime on iHeartRadio podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Jewish Podcast out of Israel. And you can also find the video on Rumble. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We have so much to discuss. Every day seems to be another historic day of news, good and bad, local, statewide, even international. But as you know, I start each and every show with my pearls of wisdom because my Jewish name is Zisel Perel, which means sweet pearl in Yiddish. But before I start that, thank you again to another designer who has sent me some MAGA fashionista, handmade by award-winning designer Mark DeFang. These Make America Great Again hats are custom designed for your needs. Mark just had a great standing room only show at New York Fashion Week, and he is now touring the country for other fashion shows. And he is working with the Miss Universe pageant. So go to Mark DeFang, a patriotic fashion designer. And thank you for sending this to Right for America. And now into my opening pearls of wisdom. My hat might be bright, but my news in my opening isn't. Because today's show is about education reform and really about parents' involvement in education and parents' rights, I cannot open the show as the Jewess Patriot without discussing what is going on in Israel and around the world as we watch children viciously kidnapped and murdered. And of course, I'm talking about the Bibas little boys. I have to tell you, I am like in shock because, except maybe for the couple of hundred religious Jewish social media influencers, it seems as though the world simply doesn't care about two little boys viciously murdered. Yes, we see the protest and we see the politicians come out and feel sorry for the families and offer condolences. But you know what we're not seeing enough of? We're not seeing enough outcry from the general public, from people who are not religious Jews. We just had an award show in Hollywood and nothing was mentioned about it. I have to give credit to Charles Payne of Fox Business because he put out a very important tweet the other day that I keep asking and that I don't hear anybody else discussing. There is a 20-year-old American Israeli an American boy from New Jersey who was kidnapped and we think might still be alive based on the fact we did see a video. Yet no one talks about it. I did see a brief tweet from Josh Gottheimer, the Jewish congressman who's now running for governor on the Democratic ticket, mentioned something about it. But overall, parents should be outraged and saying Eden Alexander every single day and demand action for his immediate return because he might still be alive. It's really, really horrible that in this day of what we consider the most sophisticated technology, and now we have a president who's been unbelievably pro-Israel, and we saw a conservative win in Germany, and we see what went on in Argentina. Why aren't more people talking about this and demanding action? I have my views on why, but you might not agree. And I'm going to tell you today we're going to talk about a little bit about it with our guest as we talk about education reform, because this hate didn't start on October 7th. It didn't even start with the Biden administration taking office in 2021. Anti-Semitism has always been around. It was around before the Holocaust. It was around before the 1492 Spanish Inquisition, when Jews when Jews were asked to leave Spain. It's in our history. It's happened internationally. It's happened in Sephardic communities, in Ashkenazic communities. It's happened in areas where Jews had a big population and where they had had a very small population. But today, we consider ourselves the most sophisticated, educated people around. And yet, we are still not accomplishing education success. And we're not ending the bullying and the hatred that's in our classrooms, in our communities, even in our government. So I am asking all of you to please say Eden Alexander every single day and contact your local village elected officials, your statewide elected officials, and of course, your congressmen, your senators, and the White House, and demand that this boy who has a mother just like you, has a father just like you are, they want their child home. They want their child safe. Jewish or non-Jewish, this should be something we all agree about. Today's show is going to be about education reform and about the changes that we expect under President Trump's current administration. Because many of you remember when he was president during the tenure of 45, he actually discussed eliminating the Department of Education, but the person that he had running the Department of Education was not successful in overseeing it. We think it's going to happen a lot now. So joining us now, I hope we have her, because we are waiting anxiously. She has a lot to say. Alex Boher, who is the chair of Moms for Liberty, New Jersey, and is also the state legislative group leader. She is a beautiful mother of three. She is holistic, and she's also an esthetician. She modeled for us at the MAGA fashion show. She was considered one of the America's future leaders at Mar-a-Lago last week. I don't know how you do it all. I'm just impressed with everything you do. You always look great. You always have a big smile. Alex, thank you for joining Right for America.
Cindy, thank you so much for having me today.
You don't know how long we've been trying to get this together because her schedule is so busy. But everybody who knows me and my story knows that way before Loudoun County and wokeness, before critical racial theory, I was exposing the nonsense going on in public schools, and I still have the longest running lawsuit, which we'll talk about at the end. So tell us a little bit, first of all, for those who don't know what Moms for Liberty is, please tell them.
Sure. Moms for Liberty, basically what we do is we empower parents to fight for their own parental rights and for the rights of their children. So a lot of times people don't really understand what their rights are. You know, they think that they just drop the kids off at school and the door closes and that's where it ends. And all of a sudden the teachers are in charge and they're sort of, left out, if you would. And, we were all pretty much brought up that way. So it's understandable how people think that. But no, that's not the case. These are our children. We have every right to say what goes on their body, what goes in their body, what's taught to them. Every single thing that has to do with our children, we're the boss, not the schools. So we basically just teach, parents what their rights are and also how to be more involved in their kids' schools. Because a lot of them just feel a little intimidated to even, to even ask or to set foot in the school. And so we want to change that.
Well, when teachers are taking their courses to get accredited to teach, we are taught about the triangle community. Students is one point, educators are the second, and parents are the third. Growing up, and I'm a little bit older than you, PTAs were a very, very important part of school. They are today. However, the breakdown of the family, single parent families, grandparents as guardians, and of course, parents working, PTAs and parent involvement have certainly decreased, which is really one of the reasons over the past 20 years that parents lost some of this power in schools and educators were able to take on a stronger voice. Not to mention also the teachers unions, it's not just teachers unions, it's supervisors unions, it's all the unions that make money in the businesses like the lunches and stuff like that. It's all the people that are around the school community, the sanitation, the police. We don't even realize how many millions around the country are benefiting from working within the school system.
Correct.
So,
yeah, you brought up a really great point about the getting rid of the family, and with everything changing and both parents having to work and not having as much involvement with the children. And this is by design. This didn't just happen. This is all by design, to break up the family so that they are able to sort of say, oh, well, I'm with your child 8 hours a day. I'm the most important person in their life. I'm going to help rear them. I'm going to help mold their thoughts and how they think. So that's something that also needs to change. And I know it's very hard, especially in this economy, although I'm pretty sure it's going to change now that Trump is back in office. But we have to maybe see where our priorities are at. And a parent needs to be home at 3 o'clock, at least one parent, to be involved in that child's life, know what's going on with them, and not on your phones and not working from home, but really engaging with that child. We need to bring the family unit back.
well, anybody who follows you knows how actively engaged you are with your family, whether or not you're exercising with them and making that a family activity, or skiing. Even I've seen you cook and bake with your kids, and not enough parents take the time to do that. It's a privilege to have children, it's an honor to have children. Enjoy it and embrace it and make them the best, because that's really how we came about as well. I have to talk a little bit about some of the other work you do. You have a very important uh, position as a state liaison. And I tell parents all the time, why are we failing? It's because we're not involved enough in our local governments. And it's not just school boards, it's the libraries, it's the library system, the library boards. It's getting to know your local mayor. Those are the ones who really have more influence in your day-to-day life and your schools, more than Washington, D.C. Even though we think it's Washington, D.C., it's not. Please tell us a little bit about your local involvement with government.
For sure. Yeah. Everybody thinks that they say, oh, what can I do? I don't work in the administration. I'm not a governor. You don't need to be any of those things. You just need to be involved on a local level. You can run for, town council. You can run for your board of ed. I mean, there's just so many things that you could do, but just being involved as well and talking to the legislators in your state is so important, and really both sides as well. There's some wonderful people literally on both sides that really just want the best for their state, for their community, and for their children. When I got involved, we didn't have an official Moms for Liberty state legislative team. My co-chair, Kristen Cobo, and we just sort of figured it out on our own and went down to Trenton and said, hi, I'm Alex. Hi, I'm Kristen. And this is what we do. And what do you do? And how does this work? And we just sort of figured it out 4 years ago. And now we're actually pretty good at it. But we have really great relationships with a lot of the legislators down there. And they work with us. They let us know when bills are coming up. And we just formed our official Moms for Liberty state legislative team a few months ago, I think about 3 months ago. And it's really great because we're aware of the bills that are coming up, but we're also forming our own bills. And we have some really important ones coming up. We have Weston's bill, which we are drafting, and that has to do with giving a really strong sentence for somebody who gives minor fentanyl. These guys are getting 3 years and getting thrown back on the street. We want life sentences for them. So that's one thing. Getting rid of the porn in schools. A lot of them are able to get it online. So we are working on a bill for that as well. So we have, we're trying to fight the Freedom to Read bill. That one was passed, unfortunately, by Governor Murphy. And what that does is it allows sexually explicit materials in school. And not only that, for the teachers and librarians, to be exempt from any legal repercussions of showing this child that, which makes no sense. In New Jersey, you have obscenity under 18, which states an adult cannot knowingly show or share sexually explicit material with a minor under the age of 18. So this should not have ever passed. This should not be allowed. We all know that the people who want this are groomers. They want to groom these children. They want to change their minds because we all know that their minds are so, they're still forming at a young age. And when you introduce this sexual material at a young age, it actually changes the brain. And they're not so shocked anymore about seeing certain images or hearing certain things. So it's really, really important to be aware of what's going on. When I tell you, when I go to school pickup and someone will say, "Oh, what'd you do all day?" "Oh, I just got back from Trenton. There's this awful bill going through." Most parents have no idea what's going on. And I was one of those parents, so I get it. But now we know what's going on. So everybody has to get involved.
So you say this, and we know that President Trump won not only the electoral votes, but the popular vote of common sense. And yet states, especially blue states, are still trying to pass woke education policies in schools. Just before we came on, I was watching Fox News, and they were talking about Maryland advancing woke school bills. Contraceptives and school vending machines from nursery school to high school, and preventing parents from opting children out of gender identity and sexual orientation classes. And the list goes on. And it's not just Maryland. It's in Massachusetts. It's in other places. And people are very misinformed to think that just because President Trump was elected, this is going to stop. This is still going on. Why is it still going on when there are so many parents outraged? I just don't understand that since Loudoun County, which is probably now about 4 years, and the voices have been stronger and louder. They've been Black, they've been white, they've been young, they've been old, they've been in urban areas and suburban areas. Why is this such an important topic for schools, especially tax-paying dollars going to public schools with this?
Correct. Well, I mean, we saw how President Trump spoke to the governor of Maine. And, listen, you want to defy his federal order, you will be cut off from federal funding. As Trump said, he'll see them in court. I'm sure he looks forward to that. In New Jersey as well, we have the Sports Association who are saying that they will not comply, that they're going to follow state law. It's much easier if you have a governor who has common sense and who will step in and say, "Hey, no, this is not what's happening. We're going to change the laws. We're going to listen to President Trump." The blue states, we don't have that. So we're definitely feeling the pushback for sure. What we did is we emailed every superintendent of the schools, at least in Bergen County. I know the state team is doing it in all their counties, just to let them know. At the time, when we wrote it, they had 14 days to comply. And a lot of times they basically just said, "No, we're an inclusive school. We're going to follow the direction of the state." And we said, okay, well, get ready because you're going to lose funding. And we just kind of let them know how it is. But they need to feel it from the parents. That's the most important thing. So the parents need to stop just talking and actually do something about it. It reminds me of masks when they would say, oh, I hate the mask. I hate masking my kids, yet they're sending their children to school in masks. How about you get a mask exemption, or how about you homeschool or pull them out of the school? They would feel that. If you had 50, 100 kids in each school getting pulled out because they didn't agree with somebody and standing up for their rights, they would feel, they would feel that, and they would actually do something about that. Like, hey, all right, we need to do something on the state level here. There's not enough kids going to school, So
Well, I think I was just going to say, here's something else. The health of kids, nutrition. This is such a big business in schools. And it's something that really unites Democrats and Republicans in the sense that so many parents are concerned about what is being served in schools. And that's a parent's right, and it's our tax dollars.
Correct. Yeah. So that's something that people need to remember is that, again, this comes down to the fact that these are our children. This is, you're not going to teach my child something that I don't want. You're not going to put a boy in my daughter's locker room. Absolutely not. That is not happening. That's something that the dads sort of picked up on. I say everyone has their why, right? So for me, it started with the masks. For some parents, it was the vaccine mandates. We saw all the dads jump on board when it was boys in their daughters' locker rooms. That's when they were like, absolutely not. This is crazy. What is going on here? 4 years ago, this child would be arrested. The parents would be notified. They'd be kicked out of school. And instead, you're actually, putting down the child for not being inclusive enough and not understanding enough of this other child. We don't play those games. There are two genders. There's boys and girls. If you have some mental health issues that you need to figure out, let's get you that help to figure it out. But you're not going to put the rest of the children in danger and put them through trauma because this one child is going through something. So, parents need to remember, yes, you paid the taxes. These are your children. I hear a lot of excuses. Well, I have to send them my work. Homeschool. There's so many ways to do it. There's ways to figure it out. And people just need to really look at their priorities and figure them out really fast before their child is damaged and then they have to fix their own child because of what they went through.
So you just mentioned dads. Now, Moms for Liberty is not just for moms.
Correct. Yeah, we have dads, grandparents, we have non-parents, people that are like, what is happening here? I need to get involved. How can I help?
So, and also you're in 50 states, correct?
We are in all but 2 states, Utah, and I forget the other one. But yes, all but 2.
And how can people join Moms for Liberty?
They can go to momsforliberty.org, and there's a really cool little map. You just find your state, you find your county, and it connects you to the chapter chair. So, for instance, it would have all of our pictures, the entire executive staff, our emails, our phone numbers, or you could just email us or call us, and we will get back to you and help you join. You just sign up right online. It is free, so it's easy to do. But then that'll connect you to our monthly meetings, events. We do Zoom classes on how to, teach certain things, which I think is super helpful for people. I personally love to be in person, but I understand people have little kids, and so they don't, they can't get a sitter. So Zoom is really wonderful for a lot of reasons. Sometimes our meetings are Zoom, but definitely we have special speakers come on that'll teach them about certain things. We've had Riley Gaines. We've had some really awesome people on to speak to people and to motivate them and to really make them feel like, I'm going to help you do this. We can all do this. So we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have X, all the socials. You can just basically type in Moms for Liberty and then your county and state, and you should find it.
I'm going to ask you a question about another project that's passionate to you, and that's working for one of the candidates in the Republican Party for New Jersey governor. And people, this is also grassroots. And Alex has been out there like 24/7. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing because 2025 is local elections, it's many governors, it's many mayors, but these wins are going to help start the pattern and the cycle for the 2026 elections. If we have a load of Republican victories in 2025, that's a very good way to say we're going to extend the majority leadership in Congress and keep the leadership in the Senate and start the pavement for 2028. So tell us what you're doing.
Correct. So here's the thing, and I think you had mentioned it before. Trump got in and everyone said, oh, okay, great. This is it. I can relax now. No, 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 no. The work is just starting now. We need to rebuild America, right? I had the pleasure of helping out with Reawaken Tour, General Flynn's Reawaken Tour. And it was, properly named Reawaken, Awaken Up America. What is happening? Well, now we need to rebuild America. And we do have a governor race in New Jersey. Now, Moms for Liberty does not endorse any candidate other than Board of Ed. However, as a private person, I do also work for Moms for New Jersey and also with Scott Presler for, early vote action. And we are going out all around the state and really talking to people. There's so many people that are not registered to vote at all. And that's step one. And if you don't understand the process or about these candidates, please come out. We have so many debates. We have so many meet and greets for the candidates. Personally, we've definitely worked with certain candidates that are more parental rights than others, let's say. They've come to our rallies. They have promoted bills that are getting passed that we want to get passed or brought attention to bills that we need to stop. So I would really say pay attention to who's actually doing the work in the state and who's just talking the big talk. Anyone can be a politician. Anyone can say they're going to do these things. But which ones were at the courthouse with us? Which ones were at the rallies with us? And that's something that people really need to pay attention to because they think, again, oh, Trump's president, everything's going to be great. Yes, but we need a good governor in New Jersey or any state, right? So you really want to find out who these people are, what they stand for, and are they just talkers or do they deliver with action? So I would just, I am always posting all over my personal page, all over Moms for Liberty, whenever there's meet and greets, whenever there's debates, I invite you to, talk to all of them and really find out what they're all about.
Alex, I'd love to have you back. There's so much going on. Just tell us 2 minutes. I mean, you really have all this going on and you still talk about self-care is a must. It's not a luxury. And just looking at you, everybody could see. Tell everybody that in order to succeed, what are the 2 things you think are the most important things that people should do right now to keep themselves holistic and healthy, and that they could be the best to do all this activism?
Sure. Well, I am an esthetician, and your skin is your largest organ. Everything goes through it. So I would say be as clean as possible. And I mean that in every way possible. Your food should be organic. Your products should be, clean, organic products, right? Just as clean as humanly possible, I would say. Get a lot of fresh air. Start your day off with some fresh air if possible. I know it's cold outside, but within the first 30 minutes, you really should be having some fresh air, maybe a nice 30, 40-minute walk. Always gets me going. Drink good water, good clean water. And I would just say just taking care of yourself, having a clean life, a clean living, definitely go out and have fun. But the cleaner you are, the more superhuman you're going to feel. So I would say, who doesn't want to feel that way? That would be number one. And number two, don't get too caught up in all of this stuff. Prioritize family time because that's who you're doing it for. So don't let that get lost with all the activism and being busy. Just remember that you're doing it for them and to spend as much time with them, but quality, like there, not just on your phone, not just watching TV, but like with your children. I would say those are the 2 biggest, best things you can do.
Alexandra Boha, thank you so much for joining us. Again, it's Moms for Liberty, Bergen County. And if you have a question, just go to her. She will lead you to the other county leaders. She did that for me. And we can't wait to have you back. Thanks so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Now joining us is Elena Barbera, also known as the Based Mother. And is she there? Is she coming in? The beauty of technology, you don't know. There, she's coming in. Let me tell you a little bit about Elena. She also is a leading advocate for parental rights and anti-grooming. She is a Christian mom, author, and documentary filmmaker. And before I get to Elena, I just wanted to say, I mentioned what I saw today, what's going on in Maryland. It's not just Maryland, it's in Los Angeles. Radical gender ideologies for city employees is still defying Trump's executive order. And in Massachusetts, legislators want kids to have access to pornographic books in schools. Well, DEI is supposed to be over, and we have a wonderful documentary called American Groomer that Elena created and is sharing with the public with her work to educate the public on parents' rights and what they should do. Thank you so much, Elena, for joining Right for America.
So happy to be here. Thanks.
So, like my previous guest and like myself, we didn't think we were going to become these advocates. We didn't have a choice. We saw what was going on and we couldn't sit back. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Very similar. So, starting, I'd say it's coming on 10 years now. I started paying attention to politics a little at a time and realizing that what I saw in real life didn't match up with what the media was telling me. And I started to question things and look them up myself. And a few years ago on this particular issue, I saw the mainstream media carrying on about these crazy right-wing fascists who wanted to ban books from schools. Not trusting them, naturally, I decided to look at it myself. I bought these books that they were saying were being quote unquote banned. And what I found in them was just triple X pornography. No, there's no other way to describe it, as this was some of the most vulgar stuff I have ever read. And it was put in either cartoon form or in, a really light reading form for children. And it's in middle schools and high schools. And now we're even finding some of this stuff in elementary schools.
So American Groomer is a documentary revealing the disturbing truth about sexualization of children in American schools. And the average citizen is totally unaware of the physical, emotional, and behavior dangers of this kind of fetish, because that's really what it is. It's a fetish among certain people that they feel they have to share this. And there's a lot of people making a lot of money doing this. We don't even discuss the business, how many people are making money on this.
Yeah, I'm working with an organization called Take Back the Classroom right now, and one of their efforts is to try to figure out how many tax dollars have been spent on pornographic books for school districts around the country. And then if you add in the transgenderism, I mean, we know that's a multi-billion-dollar industry between the therapy, the hormones, the surgeries, the gear that you need. What are they making just on tucking gear and binding bras for girls and the little fake penises that they tuck into their underwear to make them feel like they're a boy. It's just nuts what's happening. But if you look at every single turn, we could talk about this all day. There's an effort to normalize pedophilia in America. My goal is to get the pornography out of the schools, and the DEI executive orders don't help. The gender identity executive orders don't help, because some of them have nothing to do with diversity or gender identity. They're just filthy, heterosexual, erotica, rough sex, and S&M.
So as of now, 39 states, it's perfectly legal to show your kids in classrooms the filthiest porn. And it's like you said, it could be a kindergarten, it could be a high school. So then parents wonder, and we everything is focused now on college campuses, why they're unsafe, why, girls are afraid to walk alone, why boys are bullied even sexually, because already they've been exposed to this for over a decade.
Right. So children are being taught that it is perfectly normal to talk about sex. There's one book, actually, it's called It's Perfectly Normal, and there's a section in it on masturbation where it says everybody masturbates. Babies, little kids, teenagers, your parents, and even old people. So it has little kids thinking, and it says it's for 10-year-olds, this book. It has everybody thinking about their grandparents playing with themselves. So now you just think that this is normal to talk about and be and do at all stages of life, and there are no boundaries. And that's like an actual indoctrination ideology that they're putting on these kids. Right. And then when they cross boundaries, they get in trouble and they can't figure it out. They don't even know they're doing anything wrong.
So when you started investigating and thinking you had to do something, what was the reaction that you received from fellow parents?
They said, the very initial reaction was, you don't even know what you're talking about. Those are lies. And then they would say, well, oh, that may be happening, but that's happening in just some random blue state. I mean, it wouldn't be, the teachers in my district would never do this. They would never allow this to even be in the school. And so that I say, this is in all 50 states, red and blue, all kinds of districts, red and blue. People are in this position, most people, where they still trust the very institutions that are coming to hurt our children. You cannot trust your local librarians. You cannot trust the American Library Association. And that's jarring to hear. People don't want to hear it, but it's the truth.
So let me ask you, did you receive retaliation for starting to do this? Whether or not in school or your family? Because usually when people try to expose something, there's a lot of retaliation.
I've been lucky. I get told off a lot, but I don't even mind it because, there was one person on Twitter really coming at me and calling me all the names, transphobe, homophobe, prude, all the things. And I just said, look, I just do me a favor, just watch my film. It's free. I make it free for this, so I don't even have to ask anybody to throw me money, right? I mean, that would be nice, but watch the film, get back to me, tell me if there's anything in it that you can dispute. That person actually did, which I was surprised. Came back to me and said, you know what? I didn't realize how bad it had gotten. So
tell us, tell us a little bit about American Groomer. How did you come about deciding to do this, and how you went about it? Obviously, your son was involved in a lot of this, and tell us.
Well, my son got me on YouTube, and that's where I got comfortable with video at all. Otherwise, I don't think I'd be in this space and this advocacy. So when I started to when I made the film, it was really, I prayed about it. I was so frustrated talking to people about the issue and having them deny it that I said, I need to put together all the information. And I prayed about it, and the film came to me. It was the first title I came up with was American Groomer. And I learned how to make a documentary. I'm not a filmmaker. And, and I don't say this to pat myself on the back. I say this to let people know you don't have to have $1 million or any set of special skills. You just have to want to accomplish something. And I'm one of those people that wanted to. And so I did it. And I was able to book interviews with some amazing people. I got the leaders of Gays Against Groomers. I interviewed them in the film. I interviewed Terry Schilling from the American Principles Project. Mary McAllister, who has been in this fight for parental rights for decades. She's an amazing attorney and absolutely worth talking to if you ever have the chance. And then I went interviewing people on the street and showing them what is in these books. And I poured a lot of research into this 36-minute film, and I shared it to give people just a general history and overview. And it makes me so angry every time I watch it. I never get over it. And people get mad, and that's what I'm trying to do.
People think this is only in public schools. Did you find people in private schools were involved in this?
So these books have been found in a lot of private schools, more secular private schools. Some, you'll hear now and then that there's a parochial school where this stuff has slipped its way in, and they tend to slip away from their biblical values and move into just tolerance and acceptance of all things in some places. For the most part, it's more secular private schools where we'll see it. But as far as the public schools go, we're talking there are 13,000 school districts in America, and 50 million children go to American public schools and are being groomed for sex. So that alone is just mind-blowing.
Off the top of your head, and this might be a hard question to answer, but What would you think it would be like the three books people should, look out for? Like what the library would have,
Okay,
which
well,
ones are more popular than others?
there's an author called Sarah Maas, Maas. She is extremely popular right now among young women. It's fantasy and erotica. So everything is designed to, make you tingle, right? This has been found in more schools than any other books that we know of. And it has even been found, for example, in Georgia in K-8 schools. So anyone can get a hand on this. And if the young ones can read at a, fifth, sixth grade level, they're gonna get their hands on it. There's another book called Let's Talk About It. And it's a guide for teens. And in there, they basically say, STDs are no biggie. It shows them how to take nudes of themselves without, showing their face so that they don't get caught. There's one full page just on anal masturbation, explicit instructions. And then the other book that, everybody, that the mainstream media defends the most, and I almost hesitate to talk about it, is Genderqueer, because it's become the poster child for, the books that are being banned. But what's in that book is absolutely vulgar illustrations of sex acts, guiding kids, talking to children about sex shops, guides them to a website called kink.com, which is hardcore violent S&M. Why a child even needs to know that exists is beyond me.
It's amazing. They don't teach them how to read and write. They don't teach them American history. They don't teach them pride in their family and their community, but they teach them this. I don't know what the connection is, but maybe, you know what, maybe I say maybe we're starting to wake up, because Hallmark channels, even though they're starting to really, they're being careful, but overall Christian movies are more popular now. We see, we had a surprise the other night at the SAGs, Concave won over some of the others that were expected, because people, I think, are getting tired of being dictated to with all this stuff. And they know that, Donald Trump is one person, but he can't do it alone. What can parents do to the first steps to get involved to stop this?
Okay, so the first thing is awareness. So that's why I made my film, and I hope that they will go to my website. It's americangroomerfilm.com and watch it for free. It's only 36 minutes. Then once you know what's going on, go to takebacktheclassroom.com. This is the organization that I work closely with. And sign up for their email list, because in just a few weeks, they're going to have a complete database of every pornographic book in every school in America. So right now they have like 40 states listed, and they have some of the districts. So you can go bounce around and just get a feel for what's out there, but you're going to be able to see what's in your neighborhood school within a couple of weeks. This database that they are currently producing is going to blow this out of the water.
Now, Donald Trump has promised to eliminate the federal Department of Education, but that means the states are going to be in charge. But you made a very good point. This is going on in red states. It's going on in blue states. What can we do when it goes down to the state level?
Okay, thank you for asking. So the next step, once you find it in your schools, is you have to challenge these books legally at the school board level. Unfortunately, this is something that, per a prior Supreme Court case, this has to be done by a school district. So these 13,000 school districts need parents to go in and say, why is this book in here? Let's get rid of it. And that Take Back the Classroom site has, the new site that's coming up is going to have a form that you download that is a legally properly written challenge form that all you got to do is sign your name to it, put the name of the book, and you submit it to your school board, and you have a formal challenge. And then let them explain to you why children need to know about orgies and threesomes and kink.
Well, we are going to share that as soon as you have it out. I want to share this here. I know everybody at the America First Warehouse will want to share this as well. This is key, because people think they're not going to get involved this year. The closest people you can elect and get involved with are your school boards and your library boards. People forget libraries play a big part in this.
Yeah, they absolutely do. The American Library Association runs libraries in almost every single state. They were kicked out of a couple over the past few years because of this behavior. And they're the ones that run Banned Book Week, where they, they run around the country and they hand these books out to kids because they say that they have a right, that it's a First Amendment right being violated if you take these books away from children. But it absolutely is not. Obscenity is not protected by the First Amendment, and children are.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, aside from this, before you became the warrior that you are.
Well, I grew up not far from you. I grew up in a neighborhood called Canarsie in Brooklyn. I was born and raised there. And then I went to college in Boston, and now I lived there for many years, and now I live in Florida. I have one son. He's 21 years old. He's a content creator also, and he's appreciative of everything I'm doing, and he, thank goodness, is on the side of trying to not over sexualize children and modesty, and trying to just regain some decency in this country. So yeah, my work in the past was I was a copywriter. I was a concert promoter. I had more just like normal jobs. I was never expecting to become somebody out here in the media, creating content every day, trying to stop the government from destroying our children. But somebody's got to do it. Might as well be me.
Well, I give you a lot of credit for taking on the fight and exposing so much. Like you said, the documentary is less than 40 minutes. It's for free. You know what I told my friends? Instead of going out, let's bring in some wine and a charcuterie board and watch it together. So this way, no one feels uncomfortable watching it, and we could all learn, and then we could take the next steps for activism. It's only going to be up to us. It's our tax dollars that are paying for this nonsense.
I'm absolutely. And that wine party, call me. I'll come or I'll zoom in. And if you have anybody who has an organization, a church organization, a political organization, have a night and show the film, and I'll participate. You can reach out to me on the website, if I can bring more information, because this is too important. And if you think we have a mental health crisis in this country now, with these children being sexually groomed and abused, just wait. Give it another 5, 10, 20 years. We haven't seen anything yet with the amount of PTSD we're going to have to deal with.
And the sad thing is, educators are not fighting. I don't know. As a teacher, this isn't something I feel comfortable talking about. I mean, what's going on with the educators in our system?
Well, there's two groups. There's the groups that want the kids to have this stuff. They're on board with it. And then there's the group who are as appalled as you and I are, but they're pressured so hard by the unions to just go along to get along. And they have their pensions and their livelihoods held above their head. Now, in my opinion, I know that that's tough. I know it's tough, but if they all just kind of stood up together in the beginning and maybe said, we're not having it, maybe we wouldn't have gotten this far down the road.
I agree with you, because I am a whistleblower teacher who exposed this all. We have to end this now, but we definitely want you back, and we definitely want to share the information. Please, Elena, tell everybody where they can reach out to you directly.
All right. So you can find me on AmericanGroomerFilm.com and anywhere on all the social medias, Twitter, Insta, TikTok. I am the Based Mother.
And I can't thank you enough for being a part of Right for America, issues that unite, don't ignite. We are so happy to have you here, and we are very, very, very honored to have such a warrior and to share the information and to get people involved. I know this is something that everybody grassroots with common sense will join you in the battle, and we'll have those wine. And if they don't drink, we'll make it a coffee cappuccino gathering or a dessert gathering. It is the simplest thing, 40 minutes, everybody has time. And it's really great that your son is helping you, because we did see with the last election that generation is starting to rethink a lot of what's going on, and they want to go back to the good old days that made America great again. What they learned about from their grandparents, the greatest generation, hard work and family, faith, freedom, and quality education, a reading and writing, not of sexual orientation.
Yeah, they've had it, and it's so beautiful to see. It really is.
Elena, thank you so much again for joining Right for America, and we will have you back with a lot of updates.
Thank you, Cindy.
And with that, the hour goes very quickly, and I have to do my closing, my pearls of wisdom that really are very close to my heart, a project I am involved with that is going to be taking the next steps. I, the Jewess patriot, have been a very proud member of the Zionist Organization of America now for over a decade. I have had many wonderful experiences, and the leader, the president, is one of my mentors, Mort Klein. And this year they have asked me to be one of the 6 ZOA coalition coordinators for the upcoming World Zionist Congress in Jerusalem. And this year it's really, really special. There are so many people for the first time wanting to learn about getting involved, especially after October 7th, ending this idea of a 2-state solution, fighting against BDS, or actually in a positive way, promoting the quality goods that Israel offers all around the world, the technology that they share, the award-winning wines and foods, the agriculture, the technology and irrigation. You have to support a strong Jewish state, especially with what's going on now, because it's not just for Jews, it's for Zionists who are Christian and moderate Arabs. It's to save the democracy around the world, because there is no stronger relationship than Israel and America, as President Trump has pointed out. And we see in Israel a new feeling towards America. We are learning more about how the previous administration did not work with Israel to help the situation going on now. We have to strengthen a Jewish identity with pride, and make people aware that we might be small in population, but we are large in our participation in communities around the world. We have to promote the idea of going to Israel and supporting Israel, supporting Israeli products, accurate factual education about Israel and Zionism. We are so lucky that in the upcoming weeks, we are going to hear about the Senate hearing confirmation for the wonderful Mike Huckabee as the next ambassador to Israel, and security of Jewish institutions around the world. Too many people, including myself, do not feel safe about going to Jewish institutions, whether it be a kosher restaurant, a Jewish school, a synagogue, or walking on the streets in a Jewish community wearing a Jewish star or a yarmulke for men. And it's very, very sad, even in America, this great place of freedom. And that is why it is very important to vote Slate 15, the ZOA coalition. We are the OGs, always imitated, never duplicated. We have an outstanding lineup of almost 300 delegates, including Siggy Flicker, Brooke Goldstein of End Jew Hatred and the Lawfare Project, Sid Rosenberg, the #1 radio host in the country. We have Dov Hikian. Everybody knows Dov from his days as assemblyman and as an active defender of Jews and Zionists around the world with Americans Against Anti-Semitism. We have over 30 organizations involved. We have student campus organizations. We have people represented in almost every single state. And I need your help starting on March 10th. We are beginning to do the voting. It is very simple. It's just a QR code to fill out. So please reach out to me, Cindy Gross, on my social media and help me help have a strong Israel, a strong Zionist Jewish state, and really a strong democratic state in an area of unrest. And don't forget, Israel is and always will be America's greatest ally. And with that, the show has to close. Again, this is Right for America. Tune in on Sundays on 1240 AM, 95.9 FM on WGBB radio for the show. And download us again on Spotify, iHeart, Podbean, Stitcher, every major outlet. Please read my articles in Newsmax and on Israel National News. And remember, you don't have to be Jewish to be a part of this show. I am Cindy Gross, the Jewess Patriot, and I will see you next week. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that you follow up with the education notes that you received today. Thank you so much.